Hi team, so final plot point for monster calls before we start innovating for ourselves. So plot point 7 we're on today, so the final bit we are going to be writing about. So as always, writing implement, pen or pencil, 2 pieces of paper or 1 piece that you can fold in half for your inspiration page. So today we're going to be doing synonyms and repetition for effect. We're going to be looking at actions and we're going to be looking at subordinating conjunctions. So if you remember, with subordinating conjunctions we're using the acronym I saw a wabub. Okay? So first thing you want to do is you want to create your inspiration page. Do so now please. Pause the video so you've got enough time to do that. Okay, now we've done that, we're going to be watching the video of today. Now you can see it's a bit blurry, this one, a bit poor quality, so you might need to focus a little bit. But as always, we're going to watch it twice and let's see what happens.
I have come to get you, Connor O'Malley. Why don't you run, Connor O'Malley? Why don't you run for your mother?
You leave her alone! I'm not afraid of you!
So let's watch that again and see what's happening. So we're carrying on from yesterday where the monster says he's come to get Connor. And he starts to destroy the house and roar at Connor and try to intimidate him. And although Connor maybe originally feels like
Connor O'Malley, why don't you run for your mother?
You can see he quickly switches.
You leave her alone! I'm not afraid of you!
And he shows the monster that he's not scared of him. So he's again behaving atypically like we've discussed. So final plot point today. Now you wouldn't expect this, but Connor's emotions starts to go up. He's been feeling a bit scared, but all of a sudden he seems to overcome that fear. And he starts to feel like he doesn't need to be scared of this monster. There's bigger things going on in Connor's life. And we're going to be looking at that in the next week. So, I've written this part of the story today. So it says, a real monster. A huge real monster. A huge, angry real monster. Shrugging, yawning, and leaning on the windowsill, Connor watched the monster. Despite the monster's aggressive, threatening presence, Connor felt no fear. Shout all you want, Connor shrugged, barely raising his voice. I've seen worse. So, you can see what I've done here is I've got that repetition in the first chunk. Then I've showed that he's behaving atypically and unbothered in the second. And in the third, I'm showing that it's not what we would expect. So, we're going to do 3 different bits in this chunk 1, and we're looking at synonyms each time. So you're going to have to pause a few times. And we're going to start off with the word big. Now, you should already know some synonyms for the word big already. So, what I want you to do is I want you to take 30 seconds or so, pause the video, and write down as many synonyms in that first box for big as you can already. Okay, now we've done that, I'm going to show you some synonyms for the word big. So, it's a bit hard to see, so I'm going to read them to you. It says large, sizable, great, huge, immense, enormous, colossal, mammoth, tremendous, gigantic, monumental or mighty, gargantuan, elephantine. If you think about an elephant, it's big, so elephantine means big. titanic, mountainous, megalithic or monstrous. Pause the video again and write down some of those words. If you need to rewind to listen to me reading them again, you may do so. Okay, in our second box, we're going to think of words for angry. So again, I want you to have a go at thinking of as many as you can without me showing you to start off with. So pause the video. How many synonyms can you find for the word angry? Okay, now I'm going to show you some. So they're a bit easier to see on this one. So irate, annoyed. But actually, I don't want the monster to just be a bit annoyed. I want the really powerful one. So I'm looking specifically for the most extreme, intense emotions. So I'm not going to go with irate and annoyed. I'm going to go for furious, enraged, infuriated, incensed, raging. I'm really looking at this, underneath this line, this section of them. Incandescent, wrathful, fuming, ranting, raving, seething, frenzied. So I want those words that show a really powerful emotion. Pause the video and take a minute or two to write down some of those words. And finally, I want us to show Connor that it's a real monster. It's not in his imagination, it's really there in his life. So some synonyms for real are actual, existent, factual, historical, material, physical, tangible, concrete, palpable, corporeal, substantial, veridical, legitimate maybe. Pause the video and write down in that third box in chunk 1 some of the synonyms for real. Okay, chunk 2. So, I want us to infer through his actions that Connor's unbothered by this monster. So how can he show that? He might shrug. He might yawn. He might kind of glance around or chew the side of his mouth. He might kind of nod, roll his eyes or glance around, looking at his nails. He might kind of blink as if to say, "Do you think I'm scared?" So, pause the video and write down some examples of how I can infer that Connor is acting atypically, that he's unbothered by this monster. Do that now. Okay, some of the examples I've got down. He blinked in shock. He shrugged his shoulders. He yawned boredom. He looked right through the monster, kind of when you look at someone and just don't, you're not focusing on them. He rolled his eyes. He chewed the side of his mouth. Pause the video and magpie some of those ideas if you wish. And we're going to go on to chunk 3. So finally, I'm going to use here some subordinating conjunctions. So I've started off with a basic sentence, Connor felt no fear. And I want to add a subordinating clause to add extra detail. Now remember, to do this I need a subordinating conjunction. I saw a wobble. If, since, as, when, although, while, after, before, until, because. So, what I want to do is I want to take one of those and I'm going to add it either before or after the main sentence. So, Connor felt no fear, although there was a monster in front of him. Or, although he knew he should be scared, Connor felt no fear. I could say, after the monster arrived at his window, Connor felt no fear. I could say, because he'd seen much worse, or because he'd experienced much worse, Connor felt no fear. As he stared at the monster, Connor felt no fear. I want you to pause the video here, write down some subordinating phrases. I don't just want you to write the conjunction, I also want you to write some phrases to show that Connor's not acting in the way we would expect. And I'm going to show you some of my examples. So, although it towered over him, Connor felt no fear. Since the beast had arrived, Connor felt no fear. When it towered over him, Connor felt no fear. Because he had seen much worse, Connor felt no fear. Until it screeched in his face, Connor felt no fear. Pause the video and magpie some of those. Okay, let's go on to our writing. So, it says a real monster. I'm not going to use real. I might use legitimate. A legitimate monster. A huge. No, I don't want to use huge. I want to use the same words repeated. So I'm going to say a legitimate monster. A titanic legitimate monster. A titanic, furious legitimate monster. So see how I'm using the same words again and again, but I'm changing them from what I've got in the writing. Then I want to show that Connor's unbothered. So instead of shrugging, I'm going to say rolling his eyes, comma, yawning in boredom, and chewing the inside of his mouth. Connor watched the monster. Then in chunk 3, I'm going to use one of those subordinating phrases. So I said, although it was towering over him, comma, Connor felt no fear. The last bit I want you to do is I want you to copy out this white section as well, just to wrap up our story. Shout all you want, Connor shrugged, barely raising his voice. I've seen worse. If you want to change what Connor says, you can. So you could even do it based on the video. Leave my mum alone. I'm not scared of you. Okay? So, as always, you're going to pause the video, take 10 or 15 minutes to write this out. Make sure you're checking your spelling, your punctuation, your grammar, all those kind of things, and take a photo of your work. You need to submit it via your portfolio to earn your dojos, and next week we'll be starting to plan our own version of this story. So we're going to leave it there for today, and I'll see you next week. Enjoy your weekend, everybody. Bye-bye.